Ronald Reagan is the last truly transformative president the United States has had. Reagan ushered in the era of neoliberalism. It embraced consumerism with supply-side economics by way of deregulation and low taxes. When Reagan took office in 1980, the top marginal tax rate was 70% and had been at or above that rate for 44 years. By the time he left office, it was 29%. And ever since his departure, the top rate has never gone above 39%. Even the most left-wing candidates in today's Democratic Party wouldn't call for a return to a 70% tax rate for the top 1%. That's a snapshot of how much Reagan changed the political discourse. Elected in 1980 over Jimmy Carter by a landslide, Reagan's campaign could be summed up by one phrase at his inauguration.
Government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
For the previous 50 years, starting with the height of the Great Depression, if there was a problem, the question for any political leader was what would the government do to fix it? But then the country hit a major crisis under Carter in which it entered a recession while inflation increased, known as stagflation, and Reagan painted the size of government as the problem. In addition to tax cuts, deregulation was central to his philosophy. Starting around this time, public funding for social programs like higher education reduced, and the increase in the minimum wage stopped keeping pace with inflation. And key regulations ended, such as price controls on oil and gas and lowering restrictions on savings and loan associations. The incredible growth in the economy starting in 1983 and collapse of inflation pretty much solidified what we now call Reaganomics. Now, he didn't actually reduce the size of government, and that was largely due to his giant increase in defense spending to bankrupt the Soviet Union. Which, by the way, is another reason he was transformative, since it led to the fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of the Soviet Union under his successor and his VP, George H.W. Bush. And speaking of Bush, Reagan remains the only president since the end of World War II whose party maintained control of the White House after he served 2 terms. Even politicians as divisive as Donald Trump are operating on the policy front in an arena built by Reagan. Every single president since Reagan has, more or less, been more similar to Reagan than any president who came before Reagan. It's his playground, and we're all still living in it.